Decade after decade, the presence of the Spofford Juvenile Detention Center loomed over this neighborhood. It was a complex synonymous with brutal conditions and physical abuse. And it was the place where Raymond Santana of the Exonerated Five wrote a poem entitled Time in 1991. In it, he said, "I just want to go home." Those words carried a meaning that went far beyond Spofford's walls. The people of Hunts Point had long suffered from an intentional city government disinvestment that made it difficult to go home. It was neglect that manifested in broken street lamps and windows boarded with plywood, in sidewalks covered in rubble, and a landscape littered with buildings gutted from fires that some landlords had set to collect the insurance payout. But the people of this neighborhood refused to let destruction become their norm. In the 35 years since Raymond Santana wrote those words, the people of Hunts Point have rebuilt. The livable, walkable streets where we stand today are proof of residents coming together to organize, to advocate, to demand something better. Each paved sidewalk, each tree planted was won by the people of the Bronx in spite of that neglect. And I stand here today with a commitment to bring that era of disinvestment to an end. This groundbreaking here, This groundbreaking here at Casanova Residences stands as proof of what this commitment will look like in the lives of Bronxites. Once completed, the building will be comprised of 96 affordable homes. 58 of these apartments will be designated as supportive housing for people with histories of homelessness and those living with serious health conditions. New Yorkers who have historically been denied the services they need to live lives of dignity. Here at Casanova, they will be able to address critical supports right outside their doorstep, thanks to the Doe Fund. Services including case management, financial literacy classes, paid work training, legal referrals, and more. The other 38 homes will also be rent stabilized and truly affordable for working New Yorkers, with one apartment designated for a live-in super. All residents will have access to free broadband internet across the building, as well as on-site laundry, a fitness center, and community spaces. This project is just one example of our broader efforts to rewrite the relationship between City Hall and the people of the Bronx. Through our historic housing plan block by block, we are taking a targeted approach to the lasting housing inequities that disproportionately affect those in this borough, holding bad landlords accountable and supporting organized tenants along the way. And directly across the street from where we stand today, the former Spofford Center is being transformed from a site of trauma and abuse to a state-of-the-art mixed-use campus known as the Peninsula, featuring 740 new affordable homes as well as open outdoor space. It will not only provide much-needed affordable housing, it will also house New York City's first-ever city-run grocery store. There, food will be fresh, staples will be set at 30% below typical retail prices, and workers will be paid fairly and treated with respect. This store will open before Casanova Residences is completed. So when New Yorkers move in, they will be moving into a neighborhood equipped with the resources they need, from affordable groceries to outdoor space where they can play a game of chess or simply enjoy the breeze that just came in. As we break ground on Casanova Residences today, we are writing that new chapter for this corner. One where those who live here no longer experience neglect as a norm, but one where New Yorkers can instead go home to a decent, dignified space, and where city government fulfills its fundamental responsibility to make that possible. We know that the preeminent crisis in New York City is that of the housing crisis, and we know that the homelessness crisis is one face of that. And what makes today so exciting is that we are building not only housing that currently homeless New Yorkers, as well as those at risk of homelessness, can live in, but that we're accompanying that housing with the kind of services that make it possible for those New Yorkers to transform their own lives. I continue to believe that the pied-à-terre surcharge will raise $500 million on an annual basis, and the importance of this tax is that it is one that will ensure that our streets are cleaner, that our city is safer, that our schools are more supported. And what we are also doing is embarking on something new in New York City, where we are ensuring that we are assessing the primary residence of homeowners in homes that are worth more than $5 million. And we've sent out 17,000 letters. And now from that, we're receiving engagement from New Yorkers to assess what the final number is. The thing we did not want to do was levy this charge without giving New Yorkers a period of time where they could engage with the city. And now that's this period of engagement.
Thank you, Marcia. Sorry, we're going to move on. We got to go to Heather from News 12 next.
Okay.
Hi, Mayor. How are you?
Hi.
This morning, the NYPD put out their crime stats for the month of July. They said the Bronx is leading the city with a 12.5% drop in major crime. But with just in the last few days, there was a double shooting on Friday where an 87-year-old woman was shot in the face. This morning, a 50-year-old man was shot to death in Van Nest. How do you kind of reconcile these numbers that the city is touting that crime is down when the reality is not of that on the streets? How do you ensure that people in the Bronx actually feel safe when these crimes are happening on their streets?
I think first and foremost, so long as there is crime in the Bronx and there is crime in New York City, it means that there is work for us to do. And we can acknowledge and appreciate the incredible work of the men and women of the NYPD in reducing crime, and also know that there is still so much more work to be done. And I will tell you, as someone who went to see Kai's body with his family at that viewing, I can never look at the heartbreak that that family is going through and say that the work that we have done is enough. There is always more work to be done, and there always will be more work to be done until every 12-year-old can ride a bike to a bodega and ensure that they're just enjoying summer as every New Yorker has the right to.
All right.
We are looking at every different avenue that we have to invest in the Bronx. And when we're thinking about these kinds of moments where we're investing in housing here in the Bronx, but also in investing in youth programming across the Bronx and across the city, and that continues to be a conversation that we have internally as we celebrate the investments of SYEP. Just a few days ago, I was there at the Shakespeare Steps with a number of young Bronxites who were really feeling a renewed sense of purpose thanks to this project that they were a part of because of the leadership of City Arts. And I think that's also what the key holds is, how do we ensure we have more for young people to do and not just lectures to them of what they shouldn't do?
Thank you. We've got time for two more. We'll go to Liz from Gothamist.
Hi, Mr. Mayor.
Hi, Liz. How are you?
Summer Streets kicked off on Saturday,
Yes.
and a lot of people who were there noticed that there was expanded police presence. Streets Blog reported a story on it. They say it's unprecedented, the number of police cars they saw blocking intersections. And many people said it really interfered with their experience of what Summer Streets is meant to be. I wanted you to speak to that. And it's also, I want to point out that that's not the only type of community event where we've seen expanded police presence. It's also been reported that there are more police now at street festivals. What is the rationale behind that? And then I have a second question on Jano Lieber's comments that your talk of free buses has contributed to more fare evasion. Can you comment on that?
I think Jano and I will always have a difference of opinion, and that's fine, because here in New York City, we learn how to live with each other, no matter how many differences of opinion we have. And the place of agreement that we have is how to make the slowest buses in America fast, how to make them worth the time that New Yorkers pour into them when millions of New Yorkers get on buses that sometimes crawl as slow as 5 miles an hour. Now, when I was in high school, I went to high school here in the Bronx at Bronx Science, and to get there, I would get on the BX10. And that bus went so slow that I knew if I could see it 2 stops away, I would be able to run and catch up. And that's not a good thing for a city when buses are that slow. Now, when it comes to making buses free, it is something that I continue to believe is important, because what we are talking about is a cost of living crisis in this city where 1 in 5 New Yorkers struggle to afford the fare at $3. And we know that that is only going to be exacerbated the longer this cost of living crisis goes, and we never want a New Yorker to be priced out of that. I am thankful of the work alongside with the council, and we have our council member Justin Sanchez here looking to ensure that we're increasing the eligibility for fair fares in the interim, which I also think is an important program. To your first question, I will follow up on the reporting around Summer Streets. I'm not yet aware of that article from Streets Blog. However, what I would say is we want to ensure that New Yorkers are safe in all of these moments, and we also want to ensure that New Yorkers can enjoy themselves and celebrate. And that was also one of the real focuses that we had over the course of this summer, and we most recently saw it during the World Cup. But thank you for highlighting the article, and I'll be sure to follow up on it.